Sorry I haven't been around. I've been super busy. And anyhow, I just got some huge downloads, and this little thing came up a few days ago with this musician, Sophia Xeon, that passed away. And it really got me kind of, my intuition kind of perked up because I saw that her name was Sophia, and Zion is also a Greek god. So it's like two Greek gods. And so I want to go into this and show you how this transgender person is representing alchemy and exactly where the moon was when she passed away. Now, the reason why the moon's so important is because she was up on a rooftop trying to take a photo of the moon in Athens, Greece, and that's how she fell. And it's saying here, they still alive when she found her, and she pays tribute to her angels. So her best friend found her, and she was still alive, but then eventually she passed. It said that happened at 4 a.m., according to the statement. And Sophia had become incredibly popular because of her support of trans and gay rights. She worked with Madonna in 2015 and helped her to co-produce Bitch, I'm Madonna. Also, this is what really got my attention. Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides was her album, her only album, and she got a Grammy nomination for it. Okay, so, and then Sam Smith says they're heartbreaking to hear the news. So this Oil of Every Pearl's Uninside. Now, you know that I've talked to you guys about the pearl being your armor, to your basically your Ascension armor. And what it is the Meissner effect. It's basically becoming a superconductor, and your DNA and your proteins have to kind of swap the Cheshire charge to create this pearl inlay, just like the nacre of a mother of pearl. And it's really bizarre that this album was called Oil of Every Pearl's Uninside. So it's not uninside, is outside, right? So there you go. So this is all tying in to alchemy and ascension. So I already mentioned this about falling from the rooftop, and then it said, I managed, this is her lover or girlfriend, I managed to tell her I love her and to tell her to keep fighting, she said. She was my life. We were supposed to get married. And then she says, I guess this is what it's like to wake up from a dream, because my life with you felt like the best dream, Sophie. Okay, so she's known as Sophie Zion, and the name Zion also ties in, like I said, to a Greek god, and also ties into the alchemic, the periodic table. Okay, so I'm going to go into all that as well. So this is the album cover, and it's like, of course, we have the purple and kind of like a goddess sitting there. There's no pearl, but it's representative of this color, okay? But this album was released on June 15th, 2018. So this is a day after Trump's birthday, okay? So yeah, her name is Sophie, but it's referring that there's a tie to Sophia, okay? And I'll explain that as well. So even on Twitter, they mention the moon. And the name of this Twitter account is Transgressive and Future Classic. Okay, so transgressive, to me, this word is, the etymology of aggressive. Okay, so I don't like the terminology that they're using there, but anyhow, it's just to show how much they're constantly mentioning the moon with her death. Now, she died on January 30th at 4 p.m., but on January 28th, on the Thursday, there was a full moon, and this was a wolf moon. So the full moon in Greece was at 9:17 at night, and so exactly 2 days later and 6 hours later would make it 54 hours later and 45 minutes. So we get the 5-4 and the 4-5. And her death being January 30th, which is the number 13, which really ties into the Tesseract, which I will get into that at another video. And from her album release to her death was 960 days. So we get the 9-6 or the 6-9, which is ties to the moon. We also get 137 weeks and 1 day. So this also is 37 times 3 is 111. So I just find that fascinating because, 73 or 37 can be a 1. It's 10, so we get the 111. And Cancer represents 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock every day. Okay, so that's the moon constellation. So the moon constellation is always referencing to triple, the triple goddess, the waxing, the waning, and the full moon, or 111. Okay, so anything triple is referencing the moon. You have to remember the Cancer constellation is the only constellation that's ruled by the moon. Same as Leo is the only constellation ruled by the sun. They're the two pillars, Cancer and Leo. I found this really cool alchemic portrait of the moon, and you can see how they've used the cycles, but you get your 69. They've got it reversed, but it's like, there you go. It's the yin and the yang, all to do with the moon cycles. It's really cool. Now, the time of her death in Athens, the moon was right on Regulus. Okay, this is the Capitol building, right? You guys know I've done the Washington Triangle and how this all aligns to the Spring Triangle in August that goes over Washington. Okay, and the Capitol building is the Regulus star. It represents alchemy. Okay, it's also the main star, the fixed star in Leo. Okay, one of the four fixed stars, one of the four horsemen. This would be Raphael or the Eye of Ra. Okay, so now Vesta happens to be like the altar, the sacrificial altar, and Minerva, which represents Sophia, is also right by the altar. So it was like a real ritual for her to die when all this was placed there, because the transgender represents alchemy. It's basically, you're not male or you're not female. It's really the transmutation of the two, but they're doing it in a kind of a physical way rather than in a spiritual way. They're showing us alchemy in a physical format rather than showing us how to do it internally. So the star of Regulus, I found this alchemic symbol, not easy to find, but I found it. It's the crown, okay? This is the king, this is the Lion King. This is when you alchemize your hermaphrodite, you become the wearer of the crown, okay? Hermaphrodite is basically Hermes and Aphrodite. It's your Mercury and your Venus, okay? So this is really why they have the Capitol building representing, that star representing the Capitol building, is because it's in the Apostles of Washington. It's the big portal to ascension, because you can only ascend when you are the hermaphrodite in your mind, okay? Thinking through logic, your left brain, and then your intuition, your feminine side, Venus in your right side of your brain, okay? So they've trained us to only think left side. This is what our education system does, and anybody that thinks from the right side is kind of like, you're just an artistical flake, you just, that's all you're good for. But, really intuition is how you connect to the divine, and this is how you wear your corona borealis crown. Okay, so they don't want us to know, in a sense, or it's not that they don't want us to know, they show us, but you have to seek to find. Okay, they're not going to just come out and teach everybody this, because it's only the soul that desires to find their own alchemy that is allowed to have alchemy. You don't just get told how to do it. I'm cheating. I'm telling you guys, okay? But I'm showing you that they're mirroring our alchemy to us all the time with these events that happen. Now, whether they're real events, whether they actually happen, I don't know. That's for you to decide. But all I'm telling you is it's always referring to alchemy. Every single event that happens, it's either tying into history or to alchemy. Balancing your left and right brain waves is basically theta. Okay, so listen to theta binary beats. This will help you get there. So my instinct told me she had a connection to Sophia, the AI sentient being, the first AI that has citizenship. And of course, I go on YouTube today and this video pops up. Okay, so you have to go check it out because it's just crazy. She's doing an interview with Sophia, and they're talking back and forth. Sophia, the AI, says to her, so what do you like to do for fun? She goes, well, at night I like to just randomly, cruise porn. So that was like, then the robot didn't say anything. But they're basically talking about humanity and, little bizarre topics. But I just thought it was fascinating because I knew that there was a connection between these two. I just knew it because it's like the robot is alchemy. There's no, like even though she represents female, she's not. It's like they want alchemy to be a robot humans. This is what they're creating as alchemy rather than spiritual alchemy. Okay, so the fact that there's a connection between these two beings is really, like, relevant. Okay, so you have to listen to that video. I'll drop the link, and just understand this is just for you to see. If you can see it or you can't. If you can see the illusion of who is Sophia. Who was the original Sophia? Who is she? She's a Greek goddess, or she's a pagan goddess. Not really Greek, she's pagan. Okay, so let's go into finding out who she really is. Okay, so it's not really paganism, it's Gnosticism and Christian theology. Okay, so she was originally carrying the meaning of cleverness, skill, and later meaning of the term close to the meaning Pronesius. Wisdom, intelligence was significantly shaped by the term philosophy, love of wisdom, as used by Plato. So she's basically philosophy. Okay, so in here she's also, there's a dedication of the church of Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, okay, or to the Holy Spirit. She's basically the Holy Spirit, and also reference either to Jesus Christ, the Word of God. Okay, so reference to Sophia in Koine Greek translates the Hebrew Bible, translates to the Chakma, which the Chakma is part of the Kabbalah Tree of Life. That's a topic I'll save for another video. So here, Sophia is the goddess of classical Greek tradition, but she's also a Metis and Athena. We've talked about Athena, and of course Minerva. Now Minerva is the statue that looks across to the Statue of Liberty, right? It all ties in, okay? So the goddess of Sophia was introduced in anthroposophy by the founder Rudolf Steiner in his book, The Goddess from Natura to Divine Sophia. It says here, by the Roman Empire, it became common to be depicted with cardinal virtues, cardinals, the cardinal cross, and other abstract ideas of female allegories. Okay, and then also this all ties into theosophy, and anthroposophy was closely related to Helena Blavatsky, okay, the founder of theosophy. So yeah, so it's basically she's Gnostic, the goddess of Sophia. The symbol that they're using for the hermaphrodite is the Mercury symbol, and then the female is Venus, right? So they have all these different variations of the hermaphrodite. It's like they always want to say Mars, like the male symbol would be Mars and Venus would be the woman, and they want to use it that way. But really, in my mind, the hermaphrodite is Mercury and Venus. So Venus symbol is in the Mercury symbol. So if you just use the Mercury symbol, you could say, oh, there's the hermaphrodite right inside the symbol of Mercury. So Mercury is the soul guide. Okay, he also has symbols of Herma, the rooster, the tortoise, the satchel or pouch, the talaria, the winged sandals, the winged helmet, or simply the petosos, as well as the palm tree, the goat, and the number 4, several kinds of fish, and incense. However, his main symbol is the caduceus, a winged staff intertwined with 2 snakes. Okay, so Ophiuchus has the 1 snake, okay, but Mercury has the 2 snakes. That's the medical symbol. Okay, so the Etruscan god Thames, or Thames, I guess, a name borrowed from the Greek Hema. Okay, so the Roman mythology, Hermes is known as Mercury, and the Latin Menx, and he's also to do with commerce, and also the mind, the intellect. And then Venus, of course, is Aphrodite. She's the goddess of love, and you can read all about her. So when I was Googling about Xeon, there's also a statement in the Bible, but then they changed the spelling to Xenos. Okay, so there's different spellings of this word Xeon, but this is a Greek god, Xenos. Okay, but this I'm sure is why they named her Sophie Xeon. I'm sure that's not her real name, but that's why they picked that name. So in the Greek meaning of the word means stranger or alien. Okay, and then there's also they're using it all through AI, the entertainment industry, lots of gaming. There's like there's actual like AI tech also named using the name Xeon. So it's a very popular name, referring to kind of alien AI. So here they're saying in the Greek language, from Homer onward, the most standard definition is stranger. However, the word itself can be interpreted to mean different things based upon content, author, and period of writing or speaking. So it can mean enemy, stranger, and then also a guest friend, which is kind of like a host. Okay, there's others. I've read other texts where it's saying it's like a host. Yeah, so they're going on saying it all means guest friend, but then at the bottom here, they're saying it can also mean like a disguise, as they were always kind of respectful strangers. Because it was a god, they could be blessed by that god or goddess. So there's a disguise with it, and this also ties into Xenia. Okay, there's this the worship of Xenia is tying into the same wording. Okay, so yeah, I see it kind of like a host being, and that would reference to AI and the other Sophia, the AI Sophia. Now, biblically, they're saying it's an alien, from a person or a thing, without the knowledge of, without a share in, new, unheard of, one who receives and entertains another hospitality, um, with whom he says stays or lodges, a host. Yeah, so there's the host and there's the alien. Yeah, it's in the biblical text of the New Testament. I had done a video on Xeon about a year ago. I know it's important gas, noble gas, and they're showing here that it comes in with icy comets. Astronomers think Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus formed a kind of barrier between the inner and outer parts of the solar system. The gravitational fields would have attracted small bodies like these Xeon-laden comets, lowering their chances of making it to Earth. The comets could have brought with them not just Xeon, but also the vital elements crucial for life, like hydrogen and nitrogen. So the inner solar system was probably too hot for these elements to survive the cloud of dust and gas from which the Earth was formed. So it's long been postulated that at least some portion was delivered after the planet's formation by comets. So the comets have a huge part of bacteria coming from Venus. Like I did a video on that back in May. And then this Xeon, this noble gas. And I want to go into what this noble gas is used for, and also how it affects our bodies. The esoteric symbol that they're using is like a lightning bolt. You can see it's number 54. Remember I told you she was 54 hours she passed after the wolf moon. And she was 54 hours and 45 minutes, 45 tying into Trump being the 45th president. So it's interesting that her last name is pulling to the periodic table now. It gives off like a blue-purple light as well, similar to her album cover. So I'm not going to read this. It's really small for me on my laptop, but this is all the history of how it was discovered. It actually comes from minerals like uranium. This is all way back when they were discovering krypton. So you can go through this if you want to read it. On my iMovie, it's like, I swear to God, it's like 2 inches wide and I can't read it. So you can just go and read it if you're really interested in how they discovered Xeon. So here they're saying they actually use it to move satellites with the propeller of an engine. And then it also saved a baby that had died and birth, and they were able to give it this Xeon because it's anesthesia. Okay, and then the baby was able to come back to life. So they've used it for many different sorts of things. It's kind of like the wonder noble gas. What's interesting, there's an abundance of xenon in the atmosphere of the planet Jupiter, and it's unusually high, about 2 to 6 times that of the sun. This abundance remains unexplained, but may have been caused by an earlier rapid buildup of planetesimals, small subplanetary bodies, before the heating of the pre-solar disk. So yeah, so there's lots of xenon in oxygen with quartz, reducing the outcasting of xenon into the atmosphere. Anyhow, it's a lot to learn, but this gas, the reason I'm going on about this is because I'm pretty sure this is going to be used in the harvesting. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but this is what my intuition is telling me, because guess what it does? It takes memories away. So this would be the river Lethe. Okay, the Nemosin river brings you the memory, and the river Lethe takes away your memory. So how does your memory get taken away? How does a mass population of their memory gets taken away? Oh, from xenon gas. Okay, so it basically you're frozen in fear. Okay, so they've done studies with mice, and traumatize them with electric shocks with a sound with it, and then they put them back in with this xenon gas and create the sound, and the mice only freeze for a little bit, not as long as they would normally. Okay, so that's the Cole's note of all that. So Xeon does or Xeon, I should say. Xeon does several things in the brain, as pinning down exactly how it works could be difficult. But Maloney's team tried the gas because it blocks NMDA receptors, which are involved in memory formations and consolidations. Unlike other drugs or medications that may also block MNDA receptors involved in memory, Xeon gets in and out of the brain very quickly. This suggests that Xeon could be given at the exact time the memory is reactivated and for a limited amount of time, which may be key features for any potential therapy used in humans. Yeah, memory wiping. Yeah, exactly. High doses of it. So it's in the atmosphere, okay? So it's also, I'm going to explain, because I told you it comes from uranium, and they're using it or collecting it from nukes. So North Korea and confirmed nuclear tests by states such as North Korea. There, there's a byproduct from the nuclear energy, and it's xenon. Okay, so the other interesting thing about it, okay, they're using it in anesthesia, inhaled with concentrations of oxygen. It's non-toxic to the human body at small amounts, like mixed with oxygen. But the speed of sound in xenon gas is less than in the air. Okay, so because of this, you know how in helium you take in your voice goes high? When you take xenon gas, it makes your voice go lower. Okay, so but if you have too much of it, like just xenon gas with no oxygen mixed in, you can be asphyxiated. Okay, so there's that. That's how it affects the body. So they're also using it with DNA technology and cell culture. Okay, so I don't, they're using it in chemotherapy. I know that for sure because when my husband had cancer and they tried to break his brain barrier, they radiated his head, and I'm sure, anyhow, there was some xenon gas was used, and his memory never came back the way it was. So this basically takes, changes memories. And what another interesting thing here, Lance Armstrong, this is the gas that they were using for the doping that he got. They were using it from 1990 to the early 2000s, and then they ended up getting caught. So it changes your blood cells. So I guess it makes you more superhuman somehow with the changing of the red blood cells. So a very interesting gas, has lots of different purposes. So another interesting thing is that it actually can be used for levitation. Okay, just in small amounts, but they're using it, to levitate frogs. Okay, so this gas has lots of different, purposes. It's used for moving satellites. It's used for restarting a baby when it dies. It's used for anesthesia. It's used for it's a byproduct of nuclear energy um, coming from uranium, and then it is also used for levitation, and it also changes your voice. So, and races your memory. So it's like, whoa, okay, and this is all in the atmosphere. So, the whole thing about floating in the rapture, that's what you're floating into. That's the possibility of what you're floating into, okay? And just, I'm not trying to be fear for Christians that want to float, okay? But I'm telling you, for Christianity, who spent their whole time killing people in the Spanish Inquisition that looked at the sky, okay, they killed 10,000 people then, and they genocided cultures that looked at the sky. They basically said looking at the sky is satanic, but every Christian wants to float up into the sky. So I don't get it, but anyhow, I'm just putting that out there. I know that's a strong statement, but my research is telling me that the float is not the good path. The tree of life, you want to be the roots of the tree. You want to connect into earth, into Mother Earth, and she is the divine feminine. She is the mother goddess, okay? And she is going to look after you and bring you your memory, because water holds memory. The sky, I know everybody's been told that that's where heaven is, but it's for sure. Go do that, but you will not be the God that you can be by doing that path. You will be re-looped back into this reality. Okay, if you want to take the immortal path, which I know that is considered a blasphemy to think you're immortal like a god, but immortal basically means you keep your memory. That's all it means. Okay, so that's really where I'm at, and I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm sorry if it offends people, but this is where the research is going more and more scientifically, and it's being mirrored back at us through events that are happening day by day. They're constantly showing us what alchemy is. And you don't need, if somebody's coming, if you're just believing that somebody's coming to save you, you don't need to alchemize. You don't need to alchemize at all. You just believe somebody's coming to save you and you float up. But why is alchemy so important? Is because you need to save yourself through balancing your brain, balancing your emotional state. Only the souls that can control their emotional state will be allowed to go to the kingdom, okay, with their full memory. Maybe there's some people that can go in and float and get in there, but you won't be able to keep full memory if you're there. Okay, I don't believe that, because it's like a reward system of who can manage to control their emotional state and see the illusion of what's being kind of projected at us in our belief system. The beliefs are the top of the tree. It's the leaves, the believes. Okay, and this is not your true salvation to freedom. Okay, so anyhow, I just wanted to show you guys all this whole alchemic ritual that went on with this death. And, at this point, who knows what's real and what's not real. All I'm saying is what they're mirroring at us is a language that is a hidden language, and this is what I'm trying to decipher so we can all see the illusion. I'll check in with you later, and I got a lot more stuff to bring out. So, yeah, if you want to email me, I'm going to leave my email address. My website is Time Will Tell Astrology. I won't leave the link because I have parameters where I can't leave videos in certain places because of the PayPal link. So, yeah, and so if you need any help trying to find your life path, give me a shout. I'm trying to make my readings automated now in the text portion, so that will definitely make things a little faster getting them out there to you guys. And bliss to you all, and I'll be checking in a little while. Bye.